Ozan was watching a great screen and thinking, what is happening? He was in his father's working place, the NASA main building. Ozan was a middle-sized boy. He had yellowish-brown hair and brown eyes. He had wanted to see inside of the NASA main building for a long time, because his father had never let him see inside the main building, and his father was always bringing weird-looking devices to their home, making Ozan want to see the place even more. So, the NASA main building had become the most interesting place in the world for Ozan, but his father didn't let him see the inside of it, because he thought Ozan would create a chaos in the main building. Ozan always thought, why doesn't he let me go in? Does he think I would start a fire in the building or something? Still, even though Ozan had never created a problem at home or school, his father seemed to think he was not responsible enough. Finally, Ozan's perfect exam results were able to convince his father that he was responsible enough to enter the NASA main building. When Ozan got this information, he jumped around his room and even ran 28 times around the house. Next day, he rushed out of school, his hair like a madman entered the car. He smiled with joy in the whole car journey. When he was entering the building, Ozan had started to skip in joy. In the building, he had ran around looking at everywhere in the building and meet two boys, Alp and Burke. Their fathers were engineers in the building too. Like Ozan's father, that was why they were in the building too. So had become his best friends. Burke was a tiny boy who was a fast runner, and a calm boy, while Alp was a well boy who looked like he would punch you any moment. But really, he wasn't a rough boy. Ozan thought Alp wouldn't hurt a fly. They had a good time at the start, but now they were looking at this great screen. There was an asteroid in the screens, and it was going through the world. Then a man went through the man in the front of the room and whispered something on his ear. Then the man in the front of the room anxiously said for all the people in the room to start building an antimatter bomb to explode the asteroid. Then Ozan saw a flash of blue light on the asteroid, but no one saw this except him. He told his dad about this, but he was too busy creating the antimatter bomb. Then he told this to his friends Burke and Alp, but they said they weren't looking that way, but thought they saw something boule in the corner of their eyes, but no adult had seen it. After this, he started to feel differently about the asteroid. Next day after school, he returned to the NASA building there. He saw his dad working on a bomb to destroy the asteroid. He also saw some people working on a computer virus to stop other people seeing the asteroid and create panic. All this people who was in the building looked scared. His father tried to look brave, but Ozan understood he was scared too. His friends were there and carrying stuff. He asked them what they were doing. We are carrying metal and some pieces the engineers need. Usually, they wouldn't let us do it, but they have no choice other than to make us carry this stuff. Would you give it a hand too? Answered Burke. So all day they carried metal, computers, and some weird stuff in capsules that they didn't know what was. After they finished their work, they understood their fathers was creating a rocket to explode the bomb to on the asteroid. This bomb could only be exploded manually because they didn't know if their ways to communicate with the bomb would explode the bomb or not. So, a robot would have exploded the bomb by hand. Next day, the rocket was ready to launch. 3, 2, 1, boo-hoos! The rocket was flying away and away, but there was a problem. The robot had found life in the rocket, a boy, a curious boy. That blue flash of light had stayed in Ozan's mind and made him think that object was not an asteroid. With the new allowance to enter restricted places in the building to carry the stuff in the restricted rooms, Ozan, Burke, and Alp was able to sneak to the room where the invisibility cloak was in. This cloak was made with nanotechnology. In every millimeter of the cloak were screens that gave the look of place behind the cloak perfectly. In this way, Ozan and his friends would have been able to get inside the rocket, but to get inside, they needed a password that was in the robot's eyes. This problem was easily solved because they just took a picture of the robot to see the robot's eyes and enter the rocket with the photo. In the rocket, they understood that just one person could have gone in the rocket. Ozan was alone. The rocket was going through the asteroid. Ozan was alone, and the robot was turning him on his hands and examining him. After uncomfortable flight, the rocket landed. The robot got out and exploded the bomb while this was happening. Ozan had been successful for getting the rocket out of the explosion. There was no asteroid now, just a massive spaceship. Ozan got closer to the asteroid, which was really a spaceship. He got in the spaceship and started to explore. There were capsules everywhere, but there was no one to talk to. He saw a door that looked really protected, but now had no protection. The door looked like a bombed bank door. Ozan opened that door and got in. There were more capsules, but a special one capsule caught the eye. Ozan accidentally pushed a button, and that capsule opened. A boy walked out. Weirdly, the boy seemed to be holding blue light in his hands. Ozan asked, "Who are you?" The boy said, a completed question, and started to tell his story. He was coming from a planet named Angora, but a war had broken out there, and a country that was in this war had started a virus to win the war. But the virus had destroyed the Angorians. Well, not exactly. The virus was controlling the Angorians. Also, the virus seemed to have a mind, so it created armies of the people it controlled to destroy the only thing that could stand up to it: kids. Kids were able to use the energy of the virus, so it was hard to control them, but just this boy had left the kids. This boy, and the virus was going through the earth because it wanted more victories, but the boy needed another kid stop the virus, and that kid was Ozan. So Ozan and the boy cured all the Angorians. The boy returned to Angoria and Ozan to the world. He told all this to his dad, and he told it to the world. So, the world knew Ozan had saved the world.